Hi, I'm Iris Acker, and we are on stage, and you are in for a treat today. Different, never done this before. That's very exciting for me. I love doing new things. We're going to be talking to people from the Association of Performing Arts of India. You ready for that? I want you to say hello to my guests today. And forgive me if I mispronounce, I'm going to try. Bharti Shakshi?
That's correct.
Good. And Miran Lesham.
How do you do?
Oh, I'm so pleased to have you here. What is your title?
I'm an executive director of the Association of the Performing Arts of India.
Executive Director.
Yes.
And Miran?
I'm the vice president of the association.
What a fascinating organization. And I'm reading here what your goal is. It's to promote Indian classical music and dance through lecture, demonstration, and concerts. So that's your goal. Is it also your mission? I mean, is one and the same? And here you are in Pembroke Pines, Florida. This is your choice. So does that sum you up? Tell me, Bharti, tell me, does that sum you up?
Yes, that sums up. And also we offer classes in music and dance.
Okay.
We have a lot of local artists whom we refer to the community members, whoever is interested in taking the classes.
Okay, classes. For example, tell me what I would learn if I took classes with you.
Well, we have classes in classical Indian dance styles from people who have emigrated from India to the United States, who are highly trained by gurus there, and they bring the tradition over here. They cater largely to the Indian community in the United States, but of course are also Western students. And of course, there are also classes in music. I would say, though, that the real mission of the organization is to bring an ancient art form, a very developed art form, one that has a very deep tradition, both to the Indian community in the United States and, of course, to the Western audience, because although Indian music has been widely disseminated in the United States, particularly with the advent of Ravi Shankar in the 1960s, the generation that really understood that and saw it sort of tapered off in its interest. And we're the second and third wave there that is bringing that art form in all of its various dimensions to the public here.
Now, the dance, is it important to have a ballet background, or can one just start with your style of dance, plunge right in?
Indian classical dance is very different from ballet and not structured the same way. So it's not important to have any kind of classical dance training in Western styles. Really? It's a style that has a lot to do with hand gestures, eye gestures, expressing emotion, narrating a tale. Yes, of course, there's a dance element. It's not heavily technical the way modern ballet would be, that's very athletic. It has a lot to do with conveying the narrative of the tale in it, and it also is a form that's extremely rhythmic. So, for instance, there are different styles of Indian dance, the most famous being called Bharata Natyam, which means dance of India. And that's an art form that is engaged in telling a story and has a lot of prescriptive moves. Then there are other forms like Kathak, which are more akin to rhythmic dancing. So there are different styles that vary quite dramatically from each other.
Okay, fortunately we have film clips. Let's bring one up and they can get an idea of what it should look like. The first one, I hate to mispronounce, Lakshmi Shankar? Does that make sense?
Lakshmi Shankar, but she's a vocalist, yes.
She's a vocalist. All right, well, we have a vocalist first. We're going to go with the vocalist, and then we can talk after we see it, and we'll talk about her.
Okay.
Okay? Let's look at it. know, I'm reading here, I'm fascinated. It says that Indian music, despite much evolution, maintains many of its original characteristics and has been preserved in an unbroken tradition. It's based on a profoundly spiritual philosophy. And to this day, it is a spiritual art form. Also, now this I can't believe, the oldest written music in the world. I have to repeat
That's
that.
correct.
The oldest written music in the world. It's the first evidence of written music. For example, musical notes. Wow, I'm very impressed. Now, this lady has been singing this way for many, many, many years and carrying on just what I'm saying. Is
Yes,
that correct?
that's very correct.
Now, do you teach others to sing as she does? Can you?
Our organization doesn't teach. We don't have a gurukul or a system. What our organization does is bring in people who are very well established, and they hold teaching workshops and clinics. But predominantly our focus is on presenting performances of some of the leading artists. You mentioned the spiritual tradition. This is really something that I'd like to touch on.
Sure.
Indian music originated in the ancient chanting of the Vedas, which are the ancient Sanskrit hymns that form the basis of what people today call Hinduism, but actually should be referred to as Sanatan Dharma, or the eternal way, more correctly. And the chanting of the Vedas was done ritualistically and metrically based on only 3 notes. And from that meditative chanting, which was very formalized and had a very developed grammatic component and rhythmic component, music developed. And there has been an unbroken tradition from Vedic chanting all the way to modern vocal performances, instrumental performances. There has been evolution, but the evolution has not been nearly as dramatic as in the West, the evolution from Gregorian chant to even the orchestral music of the Romantic era, not to mention, for instance, modern music or atonal or 12-tone music. So there's much more continuity in the Indian tradition, and that's because it was handed down in teaching from guru to student in what's called in Sanskrit the Guru Shishya Parampara, the unbroken tradition of guru to disciple.
Will it continue that way? I mean, this lady is an old lady that we're singing. Will we one day see somebody young singing as she does? What do you think?
I think the tradition will continue because there is interest in learning, and that comes from the family who preserve that and who expose their children. So yes, it will be preserved.
And your part in preservation, if we want to say that, is in dance. You do teach musical instruments.
I myself is a sitar player.
Aha.
And I teach at my home to whoever has interest in learning. Even how I met him is through the sitar classes. So yes.
But mostly performance. Let's talk about performance. Ritual dancing that has been passed down as well. It's not new today. This is what we're going to see is what was done many, many, many years ago and is still being preserved to be done today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Now, if you would be in the court of the Mughal emperors of the 1500s, and there was a dance being performed there, or if you would be in a South Indian kingdom even 200 years ago, the dance that you would see would not be dramatically different from what you see today. Of course, there has been evolution, but as I said, there's been a tremendous amount of continuity. So if you would see a Bharatanatyam performance of old and one today, there would be only slight differences between what you see. So it's like in perhaps akin to Renaissance musicians playing on original instruments, the modern performers using original instruments and recreating that, which is not really seen in the Western world very much because of the unbroken tradition and the teaching. One of the things I also wanted to mention is that a lot of Western students from the United States and Europe go to India to study with gurus there, or go to the gurus who have moved here. So there are a lot of really evolving situations where Western students have picked up, where no longer there's so many Indian students, but there are a few more Western students carrying on traditions.
I think that's wonderful. We're going to talk some more about that, but I want to show another clip. Prince to Buddha. What will we see? Set me up.
Okay, that's the Shakti Dance Company, and they're telling the narrative in a dance form of the life of Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha. He, of course, was a North Indian prince who led this charmed life, and having discovered that there was suffering, left the palatial existence that he lived in to discover the self and realization and the nature of transcending suffering. This is a dance drama with full live orchestra that tells that story.
Oh, let's look. Okay, here we go. That's quite magnificent. I enjoyed that.
Thank you so
my
much.
question is costuming. Is that just passed down